We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are conducting life-changing research that solves the problems of today. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
Welcome to the POMcast with Stephen Willis. Now we're going to do things a little different. We are going to provide an honest look at Ole Miss athletics for the fan, by the fan, and of the fan. That is what we do. Hell be to me. I'm just kidding. Tune in for some Ole Miss sports news. We're going to give it to you straight. Yeah, right now. The POMcast starts now. It happens now. Holy cow. Listen to me. It's starting. Well, it's going to start right about now. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the POMcast. I am your host on this magical mystery tour, Stephen Willis, right here from the palatial Central Florida studios. A beautiful day down here. Absolutely fantastic. And that reminds me, if you are looking for days like that, you can call Travel and Cruise World at 1-800-330-7461. That is 1-800-330-7461. What they are is a local on the ground to let you know these ever-changing situations in vacationing in different locations around town and what's going on. They know that stuff. It's like having a local if you have questions. And the best part is the parks are the people that pay the travel agents, not you. Same prices as online, and you get all this beneficial help from the travel agent as well. So give them a call at 1-800-330-7461. Ask for Scott. Tell them I sent you. Also, I want to tell you, if you're interested in watching the program, you can catch us on Twitter at The Stephen Willis, on Twitter at The Rebel Walk, Facebook at facebook.com/POMcast, that's POMcast, or facebook.com/The Rebel Walk. If you go to it, follow it, like it, that'd help us out greatly. Also on YouTube, you can catch us at Positively Ole Miss. Subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. You'll know not only that we're streaming, you'll know what we're streaming about. That'll be pretty cool as well. And we're also on Twitch at Positively Ole Miss, all one word. So we have a lot of video options for you guys, and you can follow it basically wherever you are. That's our whole thing. We are where you are already. If audio is more your thing, catch us on Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and Pandora. We're also on smaller podcatchers, but it would take forever for us to name them all. And this is only a 30-minute show. So, welcome to the show today. Today we're going to talk about media days. The list came out for everybody. And the major takeaways that I have from this list is the lack of quarterbacks. Now, JT Daniels and Matt Corral are going to be there. That's the two best in the league. Absolutely good job. Bo Nix is going to be there. Okay. I guess so. But where's Connor Bazelak? Where is Ken Seals? Where's Will Rogers? These guys that people absolutely want to talk to that they're just not in and about. Now, I realize that in SEC Media Days, quarterbacks are the most media savvy of the lot and are less likely to say something really interesting. That doesn't deteriorate or take away from the fact that they should be there. I understand LSU not being there. You don't know if Miles Brennan is going to be the guy or Max Johnson. You don't know the answer to that. That's fine. Texas A&M, same thing. Alabama, Bryce Young. I mean, people would love to talk to him, but I understand the fact that he's never taken a snap as a starter. This is something he has to earn. I get that. Give it to John Mechie. But it's just interesting the total lack of quarterbacks at SEC Media Days and the concentration on the lines. Kyler Kirbyson at Believe in Tennessee's podcast, like we were going back and forth on Twitter, yeah, he likes the fact that the big uglies are getting a little bit of their due. And that is fine, but it basically, what is happening, I do believe, is SEC Media Days is becoming a made for the SEC network event. So they're going to get away with having all the people in the room and move towards greater ratings for the SEC network. And a part of that is basically, for lack of a better word, killing what they have already. And they've dropped it from 3 players to 2. The fans are going to be roped off outside. Which that doesn't sound like a great idea, but no autographs are going to be given. There's going to be people trying to sneak into the lobby, but they're setting up an entrance for coaches, essentially. So that'll be there. But I expect a little bit of a zoo, but it's not going to be near the circus of what it normally was. Now, people can apply and get it. You know, I've seen credential approval notices for the J-Boy show and for Evie Van Pelt. So we're going to be there, essentially. We won't be in Birmingham, but we have somebody there that we would be able to broadcast from if it is necessary. So we have that going for us, which is lovely. But they're going to do different stuff. I don't know if they're going to do the huddles beforehand. I think that they might keep the coaches and the media separate as possible, but you'll see them in press conference situations. So it's going to become more and more of a made-for-TV event. And that's fine. Because honestly, that's how the majority of the people are going to get their information from this, is from the SEC Network. And I think the SEC Network is planning, even this year, 46 hours of original programming. That includes like SEC Nows, and I'm sure there's going to be some Marty and the McGee stuff, and all of this stuff they're going to do, because like there's going to be a room they go to, because you know a lot of people don't know this, but like there's going to be a CBS room and there's going to be an ESPN room where all their promotional videos get shot all in one place. They're just going to assembly line them through. They're going to do all that, and then they're going to do their press and they're going to get out of there, because that's what people don't realize. This might be media days, but we need to remember it's called media days, not press days. So the TV channel, the SEC Network stuff, the ESPN stuff, the CBS stuff is going to take more and more of a priority. And also next week you'll see them probably at the car wash up in Bristol, Connecticut, where they just bring in SEC coaches and talk a little bit of football. But it's all part of the start of college football. basically a slow build, fall camp, let's go. That's the way this goes every year, and that's everything that everybody pays attention to, and they just love about it. But I do think the nuts and bolts of media days are about to change. Just because density is kind of the enemy right now, and they're going to have to cut down on that density any way possible, and that's going to be a detriment to schools potentially going into the fall. If this flares up, if it stays where it is, it's going to be fine. Nothing's going to really happen. But there's little things like Disney has started to pin people together pre-ride. They're doing gatherings for coaches coming in. So it's a little bit different than it was, and they're taking this opportunity to make it a little bit different. People need to realize that as well. A lot of these changes aren't happening because of COVID. They're happening because COVID gave them excuse to make the changes already that they couldn't have gotten away with 2 years ago. That makes sense. So, you get to clear out the lobby. They want a little bit less zoo. So it should be interesting to that. But I am interested in hearing from Matt Corral at Media Days. Other than 2 disaster games last year out of 10, so that's 80% just great games. I think he threw 3 picks over 8 games. He threw 11 in 2. Get rid of those 2 disaster games, and we're talking a special season for Ole Miss football. Jaylon Jones, it seems like he's been there a decade. He was literally signed in the class of 2016. So this will be, 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. This will be a 6th year. I can math good. Anyway, good player. He's Chucky Mullins Award winner. He got a little bit riddled by injuries. Depending on what he's going to do and what he's going to play, the 28-18 game against Texas Tech, I hate it for him. But he had that kickoff return for a touchdown, then the injury, and then everything kind of started snowballing for him. But I'm interested to see where he's going to play, what his role is going to be on this team. What is he going to do? What does his quickness look like? What does his 40 time look like? Because he was a burner back in the day. Whenever he returned that kickoff against Texas A&M, there was some legit speed there. How much has he slowed down through these injuries? Is it, I can't remember his name, the guy that returned punts. If you know his name, put it down in the comments below. But Freeze just put him back there to catch punts. He could hardly run. I think he wore 16 or 17. And then he transferred out his last year. We never heard from him again. But is somebody that's sure-handed to catch the ball. But injuries just wrecked his career as well. So I'll be interested to see what Jaylon Jones has to say. Now, it won't be much. These are guys that are unbelievably savvy with the media. And if their coach is any indication, they don't trust them. They've been burned by them so much, they just don't trust them. So that's going to rub off on the players going. So Matt Corral's probably going to have a little chip on his shoulder. So might Jaylon Jones. But in the age of name, image, and likeness, it's important that you get out and in on every camera opportunity. Get that brand out there. Get that name out there. Also, I'm looking forward to seeing if players show up dressed like basically NASCARs with logos pasted all over their body. Is Matt Corral going to come in with a logo blazer on of whoever's sponsoring him for that particular moment? I think we're going there. I think we will get there eventually because of all these sponsorships happening. But I want to see if it happens. I want to see anybody that takes that first step. Any type of a logo, any type of if Bo Nix is being interviewed, is Milo's sweet tea right there on the counter? Is he doing a Nick Saban thing with a bottle of that sticking up? I'm interested to see. I want to see stuff like that. It should be pretty exciting. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we are going to talk about On3 sports, what they are, and why they are doing just an absolutely genius move in recruiting coverage. It's not really going to be about Ole Miss. It's going to be in general of what they're doing. And I'll explain that whenever we come back. But until then, stick around. All right, welcome back. Welcome back to the POMcast. I am your host, Stephen Willis. Having a lot of fun here today. I do want to tell you about the Rebel Walk. Go over to the Rebel Walk. Evelyn and her team do a fantastic job. They provide a subscriber level experience for no money. All it costs you is your time, and boy, oh boy, is it worth it. Go over to therebelwalk.com. Again, that is therebelwalk.com, and tell them I sent you. One thing I've noticed, I've made a couple of comments on Twitter about it. So if you're on Twitter and you've seen those, you kind of understand where I'm going here. But On3 Sports is the latest entrance into the recruiting world, essentially. Joining 24/7 Scout, or not Scout, Rivals. Rivals might be Scout soon. And ESPN. Now, Rivals was the first one created by Shannon Terry. 24/7 was the second created by Shannon Terry. On3 is the third one created by Shannon Terry. We're talking about a person that has just an immeasurable influence on the industry of recruiting and things like that. So it should be interesting. You can go on to like On3 Recruits and see that they're starting to launch their social networks, and I think they're like 30 days from actually launching their website. So odds are it's going to work. And the streamlined way that they do it usually means it's going to work. But they have put people like Matt Zenitz and Ivan Mazel already signed up and doing their job. Chad Simmons is working recruiting. They're releasing 5 stars right now socially. But there's one aspect of this industry that I just think is just absolutely fantastic. It's obvious that somebody just had the idea and they went with it, and they have the flexibility to do that. By the way, this is why Shannon Terry and that crew succeed, is because of that flexibility of willing to try stuff and then adapt and move and let's go. He'll throw it away if it's not working. He'll add something if it is. And like, I think Hayes Fawcett is there providing edits to prospects. Yes, you've heard that correct. Prospects can go to On3 Sports and get their edits made for their commitment or I guess their decommitment or whatever they're using it for. And the point being is, if you control the edit in this era of recruiting, you control recruiting, because decisions don't get released until that edit is done. If that edit is there, they ask you to do that, and there's like a 48-hour turnaround. You have 48 hours to plan coverage, and you can control recruiting because of that edit. It is simply the most brilliant move that I can remember in the last 20 years of recruiting. Now, in 2005, that wasn't going to be a thing. You know, you couldn't have done that with Rivals. In 2010, you couldn't have done that with 24/7, although the idea of buying 24/7 is probably closer to what On3 is going to be. And then they had to downshift a little bit to the Scout and Rivals model. Now, Scout and 24/7, they got bought by CBS. Scout went away. 24/7 became the bee's knees, and the rest is history. I think one of the recruiting services right now are going to go down as well. They're going to go the way of Scout. Whichever one is the weak deer, the weak lamb, you have to understand that they're going to collapse. The market just can't sustain three of those. We've proved that actually over and over. And in the background, ESPN just does it as a supplemental thing. And that's fine. They just don't get into the recruiting coverage stuff. But they have guys that can do that. But the market will only allow for two. And whichever one between 24/7 and Rivals is the weak deer will get eaten by the lion. And the lion in this case will be On3 Sports, because they know how to win that competition. They've won that competition every single time. That group of people are the 300-pound gorilla in the room. And these corporate-owned entities are not nearly flexible enough to deal with somebody that is locally owned. And On3 is going to do that. But what I was saying earlier is, if you control the edits, which is everything with recruiting these days. If you control that, you control then and can point to when the announcement's going to get made. You can have somebody there, you can do an interview, you can have pure knowledge of what's going to happen. And you can control that. If you control the edit, you control the recruiting. Now, in 5-10 years, that's probably going to change. There's going to be a new latest and greatest thing that people can do. But right now, it's these edits. And people are doing that. And On3 has gotten ahead of the game by bringing in somebody like Hayes Fawcett to do these edits. And that should be interested. Now, the bad thing for On3 is if it gets too corporate looking, if it gets too much that loses the cool factor, that's a little bit of a problem. Then they can kind of drop down. But I think it's very interested. It's an unbelievably genius move to do. But if you can control the edits, you can control recruiting. Absolutely. So, talking about that, SEC Media Days, we did that in the first segment. Second segment, we did On3 and the growth of them. I think they're like 30 days away from launching, by the way. Their social accounts, On3 Recruits and On3 Sports, they're already floating around. Matt Zimmons, Ivan Mazel going over there. They've got an interesting staff getting built, and it should be kind of fun. The former flagship football show host, Jake, I forget his last name, but he's up there too. So that's cool. His probably office is pretty clear over in Maryland Farms in Brentwood, because that's where the 24/7 office was. That's where the Rivals office was. Shannon Terry and those guys apparently know somebody in the Maryland Farms office. Also, the big three, Justin Bench, Kevin Graham, Tim Elko, all returning to school. Ole Miss returning their entire lineup. There's going to be some pitching. I'm not necessarily worried about the pitching, though. There's arms that are going to show up and be there to do that. But if you take a jump and a jump and a jump, like year 2 Jacob Gonzalez, year 2 TJ McCants, year 4 Tim Elko, healthy Tim Elko, year 4 Justin Bench, year 4 Kevin Graham. It's a ton of home runs. It's a ton of really everything. I mean, everything offensively is coming back. We just have to work on the pitching staff. So I'm curious to see what that looks like. But historically, it doesn't necessarily look bad. I'm sure Chris Muller, whenever he does his show, we're trying to get that lined up when he's going to do that. He's going to do a 30-minute or so show that's going to talk about the draft, the autopsy, all that stuff about Ole Miss baseball. So we'll do that as well in the coming weeks. And also Tuesday, the Best of the West show with, let's see, I don't want to get their names wrong. That's the reason I do this. I'm terrible with names. Kevin Bohannon and Jake Thomas. Jake Thomas with the Tide Talk podcast. You can see him on YouTube. We have them linked down below on the YouTube page as a friend of the show. And Kevin Bohannon is something to do with Arkansas. What is that called? Let's see. Yeah, this is going to be a great pod because I should have had this, but I'm just terrible with names, and it's a side effect of the brain surgery. Unfortunately, I used to be a steel trap. Now it goes through, but he's a co-host at the Hog Talk. That's the name of the show, the Hog Talk. So it's Arkansas and Alabama guys that are going to do it next Tuesday to go with Beast of the East. On Monday, which will be Craig Ladd and Corey Burton. On Wednesday, SEC After Dark. We're going to do that again. Eventually, Jeb Beecham will be down here, and we'll have a 3-person team on that. And Rebel Walk Recruiting Show. Let's see. We're working on the timing of the Rebel Walk Recruiting Show. We're going to get that done at some point, but we'll see what happens. We're going to give you a couple minutes early, just a couple minutes back. That's my mom, by the way. I should have silenced my phone, but I'll give you a couple minutes back. Thank you very much for watching. Tomorrow we'll do another POMcast, same bat chime, same bat channel, and just enjoy it. And of course, hotty toddy.